Welcome to Political Perspectives. I'm Hugo Gurdon, Editor-in-Chief of The Washington Examiner. If you are joining us on YouTube, please do like and subscribe to our channel. I'm joined by Byron York, our Chief Political Correspondent. And Byron, we're talking on the morning after the Tuesday elections. There were several elections, but much the biggest in impact, and the one that drew the most attention was that of Zohran Mamdani, who won the New York mayoral election. He's a socialist and evidently a proud one. But one of the things that I want to have you talk about immediately is the fact that there was a kind of inclusive, a warmer, more calm personality that he campaigned on. And as soon as he won, he came out. It was a striking speech for gloating. It was like, we're in charge. Talk about the change there and what it means.
It was a striking change. It was a really kind of a hard-edged speech that he gave in victory. And he made it clear that he and his supporters were in charge now, and you better get along with that. So it was actually kind of an extraordinary speech. And it was interesting when you looked through the groups that voted for him and didn't vote for him. Basically, he had a smaller number of groups that voted intensely for him. And for example, Christians and Jews voted against Mamdani. Catholics, Protestant, Jews all voted against Mamdani. But the other group, meaning Muslims and others, and the no religious affiliation group, which is a pretty big group, voted intensely for him. So whereas maybe 50% or 52% of some Christian group voted for Cuomo, 75% voted for Mamdani on the other side. He won by winning the really intense support of some groups, and you really saw that, I think, in the speech. These are my guys. Get used to it.
Yeah, he said something along the lines of, "This is a city of immigrants. It was built by immigrants. It's powered by immigrants, and as of today, it's run by an immigrant." That was sort of in your face, but it's also the fact that 60% of New York City's voters, 60% of the population, are not immigrants. It was as though he was saying to the American-born population of the city, "Too bad, suckers. We're in charge now. Get used to it."
Yeah, and he was also saying that to the not quite 50% of the population that is white. He talked about his own movement. I'm going to quote for him. "I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties." I mean, he was talking about his coalition there.
Right.
And if you're not in it, I don't know.
Yeah, well, right. It's like, here I am for all of you foreigners, which is quite an extraordinary way of doing things. And as you say, he was talking as though he said things about the people with hands calloused from the handlebars of delivery bikes, and them, and people with their fingers burned from working in kitchens, had never held power. He was giving the impression that he was representing the people in the menial and low-income jobs. So this was dishonest, was it not? I mean, the people who voted for him were the people who had either a bachelor's degree or a higher degree, which is, 52% of the population or something.
Yeah, breaking down the results by education is really, really informative here. First of all, there was 42% of the electorate that did not have a college degree. They ranged from people who didn't even have a high school degree all the way to some who had an associate degree of some sort. And then 58% had either a bachelor's degree or an advanced degree. Among those groups that didn't have a degree, 42%, no high school degree, high school graduate, some college, or an associate's degree. Among them, Cuomo won in every category. They all voted against Mamdani. But here again, Mamdani racked up a bigger margin among the groups with college degrees. So what happened in the results, as you point out, is exactly the opposite of what he said in his speech.
Right. So we're going to just we'll move on from Mamdani in a minute, but there was one other thing that he said, which I think sent a chill through many people. And he said something along the lines of, nothing is too big for government and no concern is too small either. This was a statement about government's going to get into everything and be in everybody's business on every subject, wasn't it? It was the big, expansive, higher taxed, more intrusive government that socialists everywhere have tried and have failed, and that's what he's going to give New York, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you have to be a libertarian or a small government conservative to be a little concerned by that. You're right. He said basically everything is our business, our being the government, which is not a surprise. I mean, he's talking about the government being involved in grocery stores and making the buses free and controlling rent and paying for all the child care and all of that stuff. So it's not really a surprise. It's not inconsistent with Mamdani's message, but you know, you have to be concerned unless you're a socialist like he is.
Right. So let's switch from New York City to the wider political picture of the night. It was bad overall for the Republicans. The top issue indicated by voters in polling was that it was the economy. Inflation is still at 3%. There are a lot of job losses now. The message that off-year elections need to be taken with a pinch of salt sometimes, but they do provide interesting data points. And how concerned should President Trump and the Republicans be? I mean, after all, every single county in the Virginia elections, despite the fact that they had a bad candidate for governor, but every single county went bluer than the last time around.
I think Republicans should be pretty concerned about this. I mean, I agree with your cautions about off-year elections, but we have known for a while that these candidates based a lot of their campaign on an anti-Trump platform. And we have known for a while that a lot of Democratic voters responded well to the anti-Trump message. And the question was whether they would really turn out a lot to vote. And now we know the answer, which is yes, they will. So I think that this is concerning. Not the race in New York, which is just its own far left world. There's never going to be a Republican mayor there, or even the race in Prop 50 in California, which is a single party state. But the race in New Jersey and Virginia, I do think is worrisome because I think Republicans, or some Republicans, have perhaps taken the wrong impression from Donald Trump's victory in 2024. My opinion is that was a very unique victory. One, because Trump is unique himself, and two, because he was away for 4 years, which hadn't happened since the 19th century, and three, because he followed maybe the worst president in American history. And people voted for him instead of the successor of the worst president in American history. So I think there were a number of unique factors in the Trump victory in 2024 that don't translate into races now or next year that don't have Trump on the ballot. So I think that this is something that the Republicans are going to have to deal with. Trump is very unlikely to become super popular by next year. Right now, his popularity is in about 43%. His job approval is in the 44% range. And I wouldn't look to change because it never has. So Republicans are going to have to deal with that going into next year.
Let's just talk briefly about the Attorney General race in Virginia, where the Democrat won pretty comfortably eventually, despite having been found to have expressed a desire for the death of his political opponents and the their wives and their children. There was a significant gap. Men in Virginia voted against this fellow by a pretty wide margin. Women, who I referred to as the Defarge Democrats, knitting by the guillotine, voted more heavily for him. But Democrats can't pretend, having voted for this man who expressed the wish to see them killed, murdered, can't pretend to be a party that won't tolerate political violence.
No, I think you're right. There was a moment when the J. Jones texts first came out where it appeared his support was cratering, and it did go down, and that he might lose. But he gradually recovered, and Democrats elected him. And by the way, the texts were really bad. But I was amazed that there was not more attention paid to his conviction for driving 116 miles an hour in 2022, not when he was a callow youth 20 or 25 years ago. In 2022, drives 116 miles an hour and pleads guilty and gets a BS community service deal in which he gets his political PAC officials to testify that he has served 500 hours of community service at his own political organization and gets away with the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so everyone knows, driving 116 miles an hour will usually get you some jail time.
Right.
In Virginia, maybe a week in jail. I'm not talking about 20 years at hard labor, but a few days in jail. He not only gets all of that, gets out of that, he has the BS community service deal. And it's just an extraordinary thing for an attorney general to do.
Right.
And he totally got away with that too.
It's sort of one of those things that reveals politics is so extraordinarily tribal. If it's our guy who's doing all of these terrible things, we don't care. If it's your guy, we're absolutely going to nail him. Final thing, lo and behold, the elections are over. The Democrats have demagogued the shutdown, talking about it as the Republicans and Trump trying to starve 42 million Americans, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, it's had its impact on the election. No doubt it helped them. And now suddenly it appears there's evidence that the Democrats are more willing to talk about ending the shutdown. Has this been the play all the way from the beginning for the Democrats, that they keep the government shut down, demagogue it against Republicans, and then come back and actually
I don't know if it was from the beginning, but this one's been pretty clear for a while now that that's what they were going to do. And it's just so blatant what they are doing. And yet a number of polls still show that more people blame the Republicans for the shutdown than the Democrats. You and I have discussed that before. I think it's kind of a muscle memory thing from previous shutdowns. Plus, so many people just want to blame Trump for everything. But this has been coming in plain sight for quite a while. They used the shutdown as much as they could. Charles Schumer, who was terrified of appearing to cave to Republicans again, can now say that he held out in the longest government shutdown ever.
Yeah.
To stand up to Donald Trump. They've gotten what they need, and now they're going to open the government.
Right. Well, let's hope the government does open, but one has to regret the way that it was demagogued and stretched out by the Democrats, and to great political effect, great electoral effect. We'll leave it there, Byron. Look, thanks very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our viewers who've also tuned in. We'll be back again with Political Perspectives next time.